Welcome back to the only porno on motorsports that you ever need to watch. This is the biggest disappointment in the 250 and 450 class. So, Rob, we'll get right into it so that you fast forward through all the what do you call it? You know, like
Innuendos.
the
Nonsense.
fluff. You know, the fluff. There's a word for it that I can't think of.
Don't know what that is, Johnny.
Okay, like, you know, you're getting somebody
Okay.
in the mood.
Coach.
Like, what is that?
A fluffer.
A fluff?
Foreplay.
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 That's it. Thank you. Now we're fast forwarded through all the foreplay, getting right into the good stuff with the timestamps. Boom. So, Coach, who's your biggest disappointment in the 450 class?
I have to go with Joey Savacci. I'm really surprised they gave him the ride. I don't know that he's 100% healed, and with the amount of guys that are eligible for that 450 ride, again, I don't know if Max Anstey is healthy. We heard his name getting, handed around and passed around quite a bit, and then for him to get bypassed with that, I was really surprised. When I heard Max Anstey, I made the assumption maybe it makes an ass out of you and me, but to me, I thought that Anstey, healthy, hungry, I thought he was going to be a good shoe-in. Haven't seen enough of Savacci to know that he's healthy. I can only hope that, Cowie did some due diligence. I don't know if they put him through performance tests off the bike. That's what I would do if I was a team owner, making sure that they can handle stuff that's going to be at least seen by the motorcycle. For example, if you've got some knee issues, if you can't do some box hops, if you can't do single-legged box hops, I don't know that knee's ready for it, much less a full factory Cowie. He's got a lot of familiarity with the program, and at some level it makes sense, but I think there's 3 or 4 other guys that I think would have been a better choice for that. So biggest disappointment for me is going to be Savacci.
Do you think they're paying him?
No.
I mean, more than what he was getting paid before or lack thereof?
I was going to say, he could make more of that.
Those rubber checks. I think the checks are probably out of paper when he gets them instead of rubber.
Yeah, those poor guys. I mean, if it's like anything else, they're just going to spend money on lawsuits to try to get their money back, if any, and it's just a shame.
Yeah.
And then if they do get it settled, then they've got non-disparaging clauses. So, of course, you can't talk about it. That's why we can't hear anything about Blake Baggett, because he's in a gag order, disparaging clause, whatever
Do
stipulation.
you think he would come back to racing?
No.
There's
He's
no money
done.
in it. I mean, he's making more money working for his dad than he's made racing in the last couple of years.
And his
back
nice
in
facility that he spent all that money doing, like, is that going to come almost like a Millsaps training facility?
No,
the Carmichael
he's-
deal, or
He's already cut the price of that in half already. Nobody's gonna pay that kind of money for that facility.
Hey, I did hear Blake Baggett watched my YouTube video when I announced that about the team and got a little giggle out of it.
Good.
good.
Yeah, it's just disappointing that our sport runs off one of our fan favorites, great rider, a team that forced him to have to sue to get his money, which is what, rider number 4, 5? I don't know. The list goes on, but just for the sake of, I'm not sure whose channels you guys are going to post this on. For those that ask, why doesn't Baggett come out and talk? He can't talk. Lawsuits.
Not that he
disparaging
can't. He can. He just
can
has a
with huge
contract that
financial-
says he can't.
Huge financial ramifications. We as a sport will never hear Blake Baggett's side of the story. So I see in the comments, people are like, where's Baggett? Let Baggett speak. Let Baggett race, blah, blah, blah. He will never come back. He will never be able to speak. Once again, the sport that wants to control the narrative has done its job. You'll never hear from Blake Baggett. Sad story, but it is what it is. I digress, using Johnny's key term. Savacci, biggest disappointment.
I have a hard time calling a guy who tore his ACL at San Diego and was out of a ride with nothing a disappointment. I think everything he does has to be positive, Coach. Like that's
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
did
talking
look
about on
pretty surprised.
I'm talking about on results. I'm talking about on results. If we're somebody that's got factory equipment, he'll be the bottom of the tier of the guys that has the factory equipment, but is not going to be in the top of the mix.
I would
If you're
say,
looking at money spent, I think that we could have put a better rider in there. If the injury is healed, Savacci's a brilliant choice. But you're asking me based on the unknown in the factory rides. You got RJ and Shane at Husky, KTM is solid. Yamaha's solid. Cowie's, Anderson's solid. Savachi, I don't know. Gas Bosch is solid. Honda's solid. Process of elimination, I have to go with who's a disappointment based on results. Savachi would have to get it just based on we don't know if he's healthy. And if everybody else is healthy, we only have 12 factory rider guys, like we said. I don't see, and again, disappointment based on performance against equipment that he's got in his hands.
Yeah. I do say that the narrative, though, it can be flipped for him to be the hero, where, hey, you don't have all this nice stuff, and then boom, you finally get it, but then now you have the adversity of being injured, because riding injured is incredibly difficult, especially when it's an ACL. Did he get surgery on that ACL?
I don't know.
I would assume he had to have. I believe he did.
But Johnny, to your point, think about it. If he has a standout season, what's he going to be shadowed by? Caroli and Dungey. That's all there is to it.
Not unless he beats him.
There's no way. There's no way.
No hesitation whatsoever. I think he could beat McElrath. He could beat Hampshire.
I'm not talking about Husky. I'm not talking about Husky. I'm saying KTM, Yamaha, Cowie, Gas. He's going to be below all those guys. He might get in the mix here and there, but at the end of the season, final standings. Now, if he's 100% solid, like you could walk up and kick that knee and he could take it, absolutely. Savachi can rip. I'm just saying, based on equipment, what we don't know, and if you're asking me how he'll finish with 12 factory bikes, 8th, 9th is going to be where he'll settle.
We get it. I feel like the latter with that, where he's got such an opportunity to use it to where like nothing can be a disappointment from where he was is kind of, I think that's where Cooksey's, I can't believe I'm agreeing with you, Cooksey. So
I know.
damn.
He's playing with house.
Move your head again so we can see that bow.
Yeah. Anyway, no. So yeah, he's playing with house money. So I don't see how it could be a disappointment. I mean, he's already at 0 and basically out of a ride, maybe out of a career. This can only go up for him. But moving on, want me to go with my disappointment, Johnny, since you're running the show? Okay. My disappointment is Johnny. No, I'm just kidding. I have to do that every time.
Get on the list. There's
no, it's Malcolm Stewart. I'm so disappointed. This is the year he was going to race outdoor nationals. This is the year he's going to train with Alden and be able to go 230s. And then we hear there's a knee injury and they're putting RJ on the bike. But I'm like, how bad could the knee be? And nobody's saying a specific ligament. They're saying there's some damage that they need to get repaired. It sounds a lot like a scope.
Taken out on his knee multiple times. I know he had a bad crash at St. Louis. Then there was Arlington, and then there was Utah. Where do you think it was from?
He wouldn't get taken out if he actually maybe looked and saw who's on his inside and didn't carve on the inside. Maybe do like what Tomac and Webb do and know the situation and give the position and then get him back somewhere else. No? Am I wrong?
I mean, there is an argument there. We all know my argument there when it comes to the race director kind of making sure that other riders don't put other riders in a precarious situation multiple times. So,
well, why is it okay in the LCQ then? Well, you just pick and choose it. Is it situational when we hand out these penalties?
Well, with instant replay, it is a little bit situational. However, I feel like there's a lot of favoritism.
So the rules matter sometimes, but not others.
Like are anything with politics, yeah, they're all guidelines. However, you have like a base pertaining to when, like if there's more at stake, it should be a larger penalty. Is kind of the point to it.
I disagree with you, but once again, we always disagree, Johnny.
We don't. I just agreed with you the time before, and then you just rug pull me over here.
I'm sorry. That was my bad.
I'm an apology on this little.
Yeah, I'll text you when we're done. I'll send you a text apology. My bad. But I really, really expected Malcolm with the endurance that he did show this year. He surprised me. I took so much abuse from my YouTube followers because I said his season was a failure because he didn't get a win. They're like, he got third. Yeah, I know he got third. It was successful. But if you asked him at the beginning of the season if that was going to be, a success and he didn't get a win, it'd be like, no, absolutely not. So I thought coming outdoors, I'm like, okay, this dude's going to get a moto win and it's going to make everything all good. And he's going to go into 23 solid. But I want to believe them that his knee's bad enough that he needs to get surgery, but It just seems awfully opportunistic, and I'm really disappointed.
Well, do you think maybe he just doesn't want to race outdoors? Because who wants to race outdoors?
That's what I said. It
'Cause
seems awfully opportunistic.
Well,
And
the question that I have is how can Cooper Webb say that he can't race outdoors because of a head injury, but can race the last 2 rounds? And nobody's come out and said he's not racing outdoors. I guess he said it on another talk show that that's why he wasn't racing outdoors. But if you bang your head, how can you go race 2 more rounds of Supercross where things are extremely fast and precise? Leave that where it's at.
yeah,
How can you have a knee injury that's so bad? I didn't watch the film. I didn't sit there and micromanage. I didn't see anything. Maybe I missed it. I didn't see Malcolm walking off the track when he's waving to the crowd at that last round where he's limping and acting like shit. I can barely get off the bike. Yeah, you're going to have some naysayers that are going to say it's an easy tap out. I'm not saying he has to go under the knife and share on social media his, entry into the hospital with all of his going through the
his
paperwork.
gaping
saying,
hole in his ass. It's like, did you
Yeah,
see that, Dino?
yeah.
I was like, oh my
I
god.
can't
Well-
I can't watch that. But to your
And-
point, though, it just seems if you look at the history of Malcolm, he never got a 2-year deal because he wouldn't commit to outdoors. Now all of a sudden, again, I don't need to have a pre-op signed signature and a signature from a physician saying, "Yep, I did surgery on Malcolm's knee." I'm just saying it sure seems awfully interesting where the lack of transparency becomes an opportunity. All of a sudden it's changed. RJ's immediately put on the bike. What's Malcolm going to do, knowing that Malcolm never wanted to race outdoors? I don't know. Just
Well,
seems
and that's
interesting.
it. And I'm not saying he's not hurt, but a lot of
Exactly.
times with these
Yeah.
meniscus injuries and stuff like that, guys will tough through it if they want to, or the doctor says
if they
they should
have
probably
to.
get it fixed.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let me play devil's
Most
advocate here.
injuries. Okay, everyone.
It
can
might be an
take-
ACL. I don't know.
Yeah, you can take the easy way out. However, most motorcycle riders, they hide all their injuries and they ride through them, and they're very tough individuals. However, there's always that little catch out with the politics and the whole PR stuff where I'm kind of leaning towards, is he actually hurt? Or is this maybe like you got close to winning Supercross? You're only getting older. Let's take the time. Let's put our head forward. We had so much to build off with Supercross. Let's take the time off the outdoors. Let's come back 2023 and let's really try to make it happen. I think he's just
Well, what if you went to the doctor and the doctor said, hey, eventually we're going to have to do surgery. If you ride on this, it's going to get worse. And you're looking at a 3-month recovery. Whereas if we do it now, it's only 6 weeks. Where if he waits till the end of the year, 3 months, then he's behind going into 23.
yeah.
So I see what they're doing. And I've always argued that the guys should be either Supercross or an outdoor. That's always been my stance.
And
I
that's
think
where
they're
it's
two
moving.
completely
That's where
separate
it's going.
sports, and that's where it's going. And I'm okay with that. Make him a Supercross only guy.
What you just said was exactly what happened to AC. AC tried to get ahead of it where he was like, hey, I got hurt, and then he tried to race on it, and it just made things worse. And then now he was out. His Supercross season sucked because I don't know how you can go through those big whoops with your AC joint going do. And then now he's all fucked for outdoor motocross. So he basically wasted a whole year where he could have taken some time off for Supercross and then been ready for outdoors.
Yeah, but you got to remember though, AC's in a contract year. He's out there racing because he has to, like everybody else does.
He signed though.
No,
for a
he's signed now.
Oh, yeah.
But to Johnny's point about why he's racing injured, not coming back.
But I mean, why
It's
wouldn't you then
contracting.
race moto where you could do really well and then half-ass Supercross? I guess.
Well, because shoulder ended up being worse than we thought it was. Knee ended up being the piece that sidelined him while he was out getting his knee done, had to have his shoulder done again. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and we know what an injury does to your confidence or a lack thereof. And then, you come back full circle to what you guys were saying. I think it's interesting. Tomac didn't mention that his knee hurt, raced 1 or 2 more rounds. I think it was 2 rounds, right? With an injured knee, pulled out of the final. All right. So if Malcolm is, and again, we don't know, we can't get him on the show to talk about it. If he doesn't go get his knee done, how will we know the magnitude of the injury? Is it just a tap out, as you've alluded to here, Johnny? Is it just because I hope the listeners can follow me here. You're looking at saying Malcolm's not going to race because of a knee injury. You have Malcolm, who, if he had a knee injury, he finished the last couple of rounds like Tomac did. Tomac had a knee injury, finished up the season, is now saying he's going racing outdoors, where Malcolm's saying he's not. But let's just assume the injury was similar. Then you have Cooper Webb, who gets hurt, says he can't race outdoors because of a head injury, but can race the last two. Do you see where
the
there's
underlying
no
is that nobody wants to race outdoors is really where
exactly.
looking
That's it.
Coach Webb did update that and said it's just a series of nagging injuries. He didn't say necessarily his head.
But I don't understand how you can sign a contract for next year when you tap out of outdoors this year. I'm a little bit confused as to why we don't know what the magnitude of the injuries were. Like you say, that we're not privy to that. We're not, we're not due that by any stretch of the imagination. I just find it interesting if I'm somebody that's going to sign a contract and there's just all these lingering issues. How about coming back to me when you validated that you got them all fixed? Then I'll be happy to talk. Why is Marv not signed? Marv has no injuries. He's done well all Supercross season. I'm just talking about same team, two different, completely two polar opposite issues.
Well, I guess he didn't want to ride that bad unless they paid him a significant amount outdoors.
Yeah, I heard that.
But I mean, I don't know why they don't just pay it.
Well,
it's hard to just come up with, what are you, the government, just the printer? Let's just print money because we have money.
What do you think? You think Dungey's riding for free?
No. But I think Dungey.
You think Dungey's getting more than what Marv would?
100%.
Yes.
So there's money, Johnny.
Yeah, but maybe not as much money as Marv wants. And the thing is that Marv, I don't think has the fire that Dungey. Dungey wants to come back. He wants to have people talking about him. He wants to be in the spotlight. But
did he not have that fire when he won a Supercross?
We're all digressing here, and we need to get to who I was picking for the biggest
think about
disappointment.
it though, Johnny, real quick before you go there. I have no idea. Haven't talked to any agents. I'll bet you that Dungey's going to do what Carmichael did. Don't care about salary. Just pay me to win. And if you're looking at, are you going to bring back a multi-champion?
That's a big risk, I think.
Well, think about it. But what options does KTM have?
I mean, you make a good point, and it would be a boss move for Dungey to just do a total bonus contract.
Does Roger do anything other than boss level? If you're willing to put yourself out there, because you got to think about it. DeCoster's been here with Ricky, with Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there with him with Honda. Hey, you feel that you're that dedicated to what you think you can do, and you'll do a minimal salary, big bonuses. Given the situation that KTM is in right now, and somebody we haven't even talked about, AP does really well outdoors. If he hadn't had that weird get off and blow his knee out, we all may be laughing that we didn't even mention AP.
He's been trying to come back for a while. He just hasn't had a seat open up, and so and then boom,
he was supposed to go to Honda, and that didn't work out. No money was there, so because of his reputation, because of his relationship and rapport with KTM's field, their roster's getting decimated. They've had a dismal Supercross series. This is not the direction that KTM, Roger, Pierre, any of those guys want. What are they going to do? All of a sudden, you got a guy that's a defending champion knocking on your door saying, give me a bike. They go out to California. They start putting his lap times down, and he's on pace or even faster than others. Nothing to lose, everything to gain, and a guy that's willing to say, look, big bonus, minimal to no salary. Well, who would you go with, Marv or Dunge?
I got some inside info from a friend of mine at KTM. So the guys, the brass, the management, they are furious with all the guys complaining about that bike. Dungey got on it and said, this is the best bike I've ever ridden. But is it the best bike he's ever ridden because he hasn't been on them in a while and he doesn't know what he's up against?
2017. That could be it too.
Seriously. So that's why it's probably the best bike he's ever been on. But they want somebody who's happy with it.
And that's perspective. That's perspective. And you've got the flower bag. I'm sorry. I can't get over it. Just with your...
I'll fix it, jackass.
So what I was pointing at... For the viewers there, it looked like he had a flower because with the speakers... Coach, you saw it, right?
Yes.
You saw the ribbon.
Much better.
Well, looks no flower. I thought it made you look pretty. You
with your pink background.
It's red because my biggest disappointment is Kenny. It's gonna be Kenny. Damn, it only took us 20 minutes to get here. Biggest disappointment is Kenny, because everyone expects him that this is better. You got to shit or get off the pot, and we know that he's got the speed to win. The question is he going to win, and is he going to finish 12 rounds? And does he need to not win in order to kind of phone it in a little bit to try to finish the 12 rounds? I feel like this is a big disappointment all around. You got a rider like Sexton that's on his team that isn't going to do him any favors, and he's kind of the old guy, and I think he's got kind of a chip on his shoulder that, hey, he's sort of being pushed out, where you've been the man and just circumstances were kind of against you. Sort of like the Kennard thing, where greatness was just right there, but just shit just kept happening and happening and happening, and you can only do so much with adversity. I really want to be proven wrong with this. However, I have to say that it seems that he's going to be my biggest disappointment. Agree? Disagree? Questions? No questions?
I'm shocked he's even lining up at Paula, because the way that split in Supercross, I really thought it was done with Honda. I didn't think I'd ever see him on that bike again. So, but then to hear him talk, he sounds good. I don't know.
Well, to your point, Johnny, that last Instagram, FU, he really gave the finger to everybody. To your point, Chris, I don't know what the contracts are. I've never looked at a professional contract in the last couple of years. Is it just I'm going to go out so I don't get sued by Honda by not showing up and doing, I got to at least show I started, right? There's probably some stipulation in there. Well, just not get sued. He may not keep the money, but he's not going to lose the money. Here's the question I have for you guys as well as the listeners. Please leave comments below. Where does Kenny go next year? Give me one team that he can go to next year. Now, don't give me World Supercross. Nope, don't give me World Supercross.
KTM.
Where does he go?
The only place he can go is KTM. He has talked with them. He's been spotted over their rig.
But I would say that he's already been there. A smart, honestly, anybody that would be hiring, I think Kenny would be a rider that you'd want, just because of his expertise and his speed. And if you can make him happy and make him have a little bit of fire back into it and enjoying it, because I feel like what the problem is going on is the sport is getting so dangerous, and then the reward when it comes to money is either staying the same or getting lower and lower and lower. So it's like, why are these guys risking the biscuit for nothing? And then you got guys like Dungey, where I personally think Dungey's kind of coming back, A, because it's ego, because it's hard to not be the man anymore, and B, you're used to a certain level of living, and when you retire at 26, 27, you need to have all these other avenues of income, because a mansion is expensive, cars are expensive, property insurance is expensive. When you multiply it by 80 years, not saying, okay, Dungey's going to live to be, why wouldn't he live to be 107, 108? Why not? Why not? But
see, this is where I got to disagree with you, Johnny. When I was working with Dungey, he was still driving the Toyota truck that he got for being Rider of the Year. He wasn't driving Audi R8s. He lived in a very modest house, very beautiful house, but so very modest. Frugal. Very, very, very frugal. He's Minnesota. Him, Spencer Daly, the Martin brothers, salt of the earth dudes.
Well, good.
That's not the issue.
Maybe his wife has a shopping issue, Coach.
No,
I don't know.
I'm
joking.
So let's have him just win all the bonuses with him, and then let's have him buy some Bitcoin and be like.
But take it a step further. If he's out there testing and shaking down the bike, right? Nobody's happy with Supercross. They bring him in. He's out there at the test track, and he's running on pace or even faster to a guy who's racing last summer and being competitive. Why wouldn't Dungey go, wait? If I'm faster than a guy that was competitive last season, why wouldn't I at least put myself in, considering that the team isn't doing so hot in Supercross?
Right. The question is,
brilliant move.
Does he race next year? That's really the question.
No way. There's no way. There's too many people that are looking for rides at the 450 level. No way.
Coach, if he gets top 3 and wins a couple of rounds, there's no chance KTM doesn't find it in the budget.
I agree. If you say top 3,
if he wants to go racing, but the question
3.
is, does he want to go racing? Is this just something that he just wants to do this year, or is he looking?
We all know money talks and bullshit walks, right? I mean, if he's raking in a couple million a year and he's healthy and why wouldn't he? I mean, he's a businessman. If you're still competitive and you're still relevant, you're making $1 million+ a year. Dungey's not going to walk from that given the opportunity.
Okay.
Now here's a curveball for you. He does really well this year. KTM's stable gets filled with, you just mentioned, maybe Roczen ends up over there. I think AP's on his last season. Where would Dungey go if maybe he doesn't go to KTM? Let's say he has a stellar year this year. You think they're going to let him walk into the sunset? No way in heck. No way. And
My question is, does he want to ride Supercross?
No, he won't ride Supercross. He already said he's not interested in Supercross.
So why
Because it's dangerous, or because...
No, I just think, he's smart enough to realize either you come
most of the money is in Supercross. And honestly, his worst injury came from motocross at Lakewood when he broke his neck.
Think about it. He's got to go back to California. He's got to do things that he doesn't want to. He can train for motocross up in Minnesota.
But you just said that money talks, and most of the money is...
Money got you on that one, Coach.
No, money talks, and I didn't even think about this. If the outdoor season series is even relevant in 23, which I don't think it will be, I'm just saying that's where this becomes a very interesting twist. You have a lot of 250 guys going 450. Some guys in the 450, their contracts are going to be up at the end of 23. Where do we go? World Supercross? Moto may be irrelevant. Dungey will either have to go Supercross or, like you say, he goes back to Minnesota and he's picked up a couple $1 million in 22. And he's like, yep, I did something that no one else has done. Take a 5-year hiatus, come back, be relevant.
If he wins a moto, but this video is biggest disappointment. And we're talking about how effing cool Dungey is. Okay. So, Coach, who's your 250 biggest disappointment?
I have to go with Austin Forkner. I like Chris said earlier, unfortunately, he's got everything to prove as well as everything to lose because his original contract guaranteed him a 450 deal. Like Chris said earlier, unless he produces this year and he could make me look like an idiot, come out and pick up right where we know he's capable of. I don't know where the status of injuries are, as I said earlier. I just think if we look at the last 5 years, we could talk about his off the bike program. We could talk about his frailty. I don't know. With the exception of his run in with Jet in the air like that, I look at his injuries over the last 3-4 years. They just don't justify it. These guys are undernourished. They're not sleeping enough. They're fragile when they hit the ground. And I'll stand that conversation against anybody that wants to have an adult conversation and not be a keyboard warrior. You look at the stuff that Bob Hanna, Johnny O'Mara, Jeff Ward, Stanton, RJ, those guys took some big impacts and got up to walk away from it.
Coach,
go ahead.
We're talking about 10 miles an hour faster nowadays, though.
I don't want to be naive with that, but it's just, if you follow me on social media, I just posted a 54-year-old guy, huge, came up short, got some wheel spin on a takeoff, and just freaking got ridden by the bike. So you're saying his
best years are behind him?
Who's that?
Forkner.
100%. 100%. Now, people, keyboard warriors, especially if you go to different forums, which I refuse to do, is that the girlfriend
Sometimes the comments are fun to read. Like, be honest. Sometimes they cut really deep, and you have to be like, man, there's a fine line between love and hate, And usually, if you respond to those comments, and most of the time they're like, oh, sorry. But
yeah,
I do agree with you. I do feel like he had an opportunity because he was the shit, and then shit happened, and it was the Stewart effect, where he took some break, guys come up, boom. The level of compound effect happens because everybody is training together now, and the level of the sport is just becoming more in depth. So I do agree with you. I think his best years are behind him. He missed the boat, and so now he's trying to play catch up. And
I disagree.
That's where you look at.
Good thing I never agree with you, Cooksey. Damn.
Well, you look at the things around him. Again, keyboard warriors are going to go to the girlfriend / fiance, no longer fiance. Is that a distraction? Is he on Team Green? Is he not on Team Green? Is he going 450? Is he staying 250? Gets injured in between that. People come up, their confidence goes up. Now people aren't afraid to smash into him, not afraid to race him. Same thing Roczen's dealing with. I think it's going to be the same thing Dungey's going to deal with this summer. People are looking at Dungey as, hey, you're coming back and stealing money from me. They're not going to just move out of his way. They're going to ride a wide bike. Barsha, guys that have raced against him in the past. Phil Nicoletti said he's just humiliated to think he's going to get lapped by a guy who's been out of the racing for 5 years. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, right? But I don't think people are afraid to race Dungey, where before, out of respect, respect your elders, respect the guys that are defending champions. You don't move over for them, but you're not afraid to compete. And I think to your point, Johnny.
Now he's a vet rider coming in.
Yep.
Cooksey, who is your
I did, hold on.
in the 250 class? We're talking 250 class.
Johnny.
We keep talking 450 class.
We just keep going back to Dungey.
We just keep going back to
Dungey's the whole story.
Dungey, I'm still waiting for that coupon code for some coffee. I mean, Rob, he's up at like midnight right now. He needs a coupon code. Hook us up.
One of us three was late.
No. There's a difference between punctual and being late.
Late? Coach, he was late. Anyway, okay. Hey, it's hard in the 250s because there's not a lot of guys I have a ton of expectations from that I don't think can deliver. But Justin Cooper, I mean, anything less than a championship because he's going to a 450 is a disappointment. And that's hard to say. And I don't know how healthy he is with the foot. He hasn't been around all year. I mean, he's incredibly talented. So anything less than a championship is a disappointment. And I don't think he's going to get the championship. So I got to go with Justin Cooper.
Dude, you both took. I was between Faulkner and Cooper.
Stop, Johnny.
Cooper. It looks cool on the screen.
It does look cool. I do like the Yamaha blue. That's nice.
Yeah, the weed whackers. The
Stop with the weed whacker.
The way you ride a
Can I say Supercross championship, outdoor championship?
With your middle finger.
Are you flipping me off again?
No, this is how you ride your weed whacker. So everyone, when somebody shows up with an electric bike, you're like, "Fuck you, man! I got a
stop digressing. Who's your disappointment?
I got a clutch with gears. What do you have? You just have this thing where you just think, elbow to the ground, out to the floor. Well, my dick is so big, my slong hits the floor because I ride a Yamaha. No, Cooper. I would have to say Cooper is more like I expect Faulkner to not perform where he's not winning races. He might be on the podium, but I don't see him winning races. And Cooper, it's put up or shut up. His back is against the wall. I would like to see him prevail, but I think with the level of competition with the Lawrence brothers, he can't finish second. He has to win, and he might have to be a dick to win. But I agree. I think disappointment. Rob, you agree? Disagree? Comment? No comment.
Well, it's like we talked about earlier. It's about defining what disappointment is. Like when you guys were surprised with my 450 pick, are we talking about capability versus where they finish, or expectations versus where?
I guess you could put it in different ways. I think Cooksey and I were saying expectations, and you were going performance.
Yeah, I would agree with both of you guys. And like I said, on the Savatgy side, best of equipment, I think there could have been a better rider choice. So to me, that becomes a disappointment in regards to what do you think that bike's capable of and who's on it. When we go to when we go to 250, same thing. I think there's other riders out there that are available. I mean, Hammaker, McAdoo, Shimoda. I don't think Jet Reynolds is going to make it to the start line.
Volan could potentially be considered a disappointment too, I guess.
But not at his own fault. I think that's the difference. Like Chris was saying earlier, whether it be KTM or like you said, the system that kind of smokes the kids at an amateur level.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta sleep in the bed that you make. Yep. Even if it's that's lack of having good people behind you is really what that is with direction. Which Cooksey, I know you talk a lot about agents, where you need to have a good agent involved behind you so that you can make proper decisions where they just don't ride you hard and put you away wet. Kind of
Max has the best agent, which is why he still has a job and has another contract, another year on that contract, even though they've treated him like absolute shit, in my opinion.
Good. But you've got to look at it two different ways, though. Contracts can be adjusted at any time at the discretion of the OEMs. So there's again. If
so you're saying contracts are kind of like the rules. They're guidelines. A paper that is signed and notarized can be manipulated and changed. What kind of horse shit is this?
Well, but think about it. When it comes to a contract, there's always going to be a clause on behalf of the OEM that allows them the chance to buy you out of a contract, which you don't see in the race contracts. Let's put it that way. So, okay, great. We're going to throw out this lucrative deal and we're going to make it look like we're here for you until we don't like what we see. And then, hey, clause XYZ number 102, number letter A, guess what? We have the option to buy you out, push you out, bring somebody else in. And like Chris said, you get pushed out to fair market. I think Volan's young enough that he will get other options. Thank goodness. But I've never met the Volans, dad, uncle, but, you know, based on what they've been through personally at the European level, being here, you know, in the States, I think Max is in really good hands for sure. Not to mention a very good agent.
Agree. Hey, Cooksy, you still got like a ribbon.
I don't care,
kidding.
Johnny.
I'm kidding. So on that note, this is over with.
Johnny.
So please subscribe to these motherfuckers and comment. Even if it's a bad comment, I will at least read them. And I might even respond in kind to them. Let's banter. Let's talk about it. So until next time, this is Anti-Fauci,
Johnny.
Coach, and then
Effin Hopper.
Johnny effing Hopper.
yes. Bro, 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 da, da, da.